Well, today we're going to do something interesting. What I have here is a bag of Miracle Grow Organic Choice potting mix. And we're going to take a little bit of this and we're going to look at it under the microscope to see what kind of life is in. So this bag of Miracle Grow organic potting mix that I did get, it smelled bad. It smelled like rotting eggs, which is typical of hydrogen sulfide. That's hydrogen sulfide gas is what that is. That's a byproduct of anaerobic, no air organic organism operations. Okay, so I've taken this bag. I didn't want to use this bag because I don't want to deal with anaerobic conditions. But what I did is I've had this bag sitting here. I didn't open the bag, but I just let it sit outside in the shade. It's been about 6 days now. And I did just do a sniff test and it didn't smell bad. So I'm actually thinking that maybe it was another bag or it was this big conglomerate pallet of bags that they had at at Costco that was having this issue. So I'm hoping I'm going to pop the bag open. I hope it doesn't smell bad. But we're going to pop it open. I'm going to take a little sample. I'm going to get, maybe a couple grams, maybe a tablespoon of potting mix out of this bag. I'm going to bring it in here to the lab and we're going to take a look at it under the microscope to see exactly what's living on inside that bag. Okay, so here we are. I've cut the bag open. Let's take a look at what we got here. So when I first opened the bag here, take a sniff test. Doesn't really smell. I don't have the hydrogen sulfide that I smelled the other day at Costco. So if we take a look at it, um, it's pretty dry. It's not completely dry, but it doesn't stay together. Um, you clump it up and it's not going to stay together. Now I do see that it has obviously it has a lot of peat in it, peat moss. I don't like using peat moss, frankly. It's it's like, I don't know, a million years old or something, not that old, but and it's like a fossil fuel, man. It's not renewable. So go with coconut coir or something like that. So I'm gonna take a few, I'm gonna scoop around here a little bit. That was on the surface. I'm gonna dig down about, I don't know, 6 inches, and it looks about the same. All right. You dig down on this side, way over here, and we'll put that in. And there we go. So I got my sample. Now the fun part. Take it in, get it under the scope. And we have the slide in place on the stage. We've got the scope ready. We've got the computer set up with our observation software, and we are ready to take a look at this. Okay, so here we are. We've got the slide on the microscope, which you can see right here. And I'm going to bring up a screen. You've already got it there. So I'm using a product called Tube View. It's connected to the BioVid 4K camera on my i4 LW Scientific microscope. I love this setup. It's great stuff. I think the only problem is my computer just really has a hard time processing all the video. So we're going to take a look, and we're going to start at the 40x objective. And let me turn on the real-time capture here. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at here, we're just going to kind of do a scan. And so I'm just going to go kind of piece by piece. We see just big chunks of organic matter or peat. And honestly, right now, it looks really boring. Maybe a couple little strands of fungi in there. Very quiet screen. Usually when I take 40x, I do a scan for nematodes. Nematodes you can see at 40x. Some people recommend 100x total magnification for a nematode scan. Um, you're more likely to not miss a nematode in a 100x total magnification scan. Honestly, I don't have time for that. So I use 40x, and if a nematode is not moving and I have a lot of organic matter, there's a good chance I will miss a nematode. There's a pretty good chance, um, but I take that risk. So again, we're just kind of doing an overview scan, and we just see a lot of big pieces of organic matter here. There's a big bubble with organic matter, and I apologize for the jumpy nature of the video. I can see that it's going to be a little bit challenging, but right there we actually have a nematode. So I'm going to go to 100x and take a quick peek at that guy. You can see him right here, right in the middle. And so that's 100x. And if I go down to 400x total magnification, and we'll change our scale there, and you can see him. So great little nematode, probably a bacterial feeder. He's moving quite a bit, but I don't see any bulbs and stylets that would say it's a root feeder. Don't see any very small stylet that would make it a fungal feeder. It doesn't have a big mouth. It's not a omnivore or predator. Kind of by elimination, yeah, it's a bacterial feeder. So that's great to see. These are about third tropic level predators. So it's great to see. Now, right beside it there, we have something right beside it. I see things moving in it. Is it an amoeba? That actually could be an amoeba. Looks a little different than the usual testate amoeba, but it is definitely moving. It's got moving things in it. It's not just an empty shell. I think I would call that an amoeba. If somebody watching this says, "Oh, no, that's not an amoeba," put it in the comments. But I think we got an amoeba there as well. So let's jump back. I'm going to jump back to 40x, and let's continue our scan. Again, just kind of an overall scan, but I did see that nematode. Wanted to show you what's going on there. I always love seeing those. First time I saw one, I was super excited. Almost scary to see these things in the soil. Overall, okay, at this high level, at 40x, overall, there is not much in this, okay? There's not soil aggregates. There's just chunks of peat and big pieces of kind of organic matter, but there's no like aggregated organic matter. Um, so, and it gets real boring here at the edges. So let's, what I generally do now, once I've done an overview, and usually that's the nematode count, or I might see a rotifer. You can see rotifers at 40x. You can see ciliates usually at 40x. Don't see any of those at this level. Once I'm done with that, then I jump down to 400x. So we're going to go back to 400x. And now I take, usually when I do an assessment, I'll do like 20 fields of view. So, and what you're seeing right now on the screen is a field of view. Now, my field of view through the eyepieces is actually bigger. I don't use the screen a whole lot. I use the screen for bacterial counts, but I use the eyepieces for everything else. Now I'm going to turn down my diaphragm a little bit to increase the shadowing. We'll get a little bit more. Now what we're seeing here, you're seeing a lot of motion. And that motion is bacteria. Most of that is bacteria. And we've got a good bacterial population here. Um, that's almost everything has bacteria. Okay, so that doesn't make or break anything. We got bacteria. What we really want to do is look for other things. Now, is this right here? Is this a piece of fungus? Maybe. Um, not really sure. Um, Pretty small. I probably wouldn't count that. So what I do is I come back and I do a what we call a swimming lane pattern. So I start kind of down in the corner of the slide, turn my light up a little bit, and we just start looking. So I'm going to do like 5 fields of view across this lane of the slide. So at this first one, um, right up here, we actually do see a little piece of fungus. All right, very small. It's about 2 micrometers uh, in diameter, but looks pretty predictable as a piece of good beneficial fungi. Don't see anything else. Don't see any protozoa, no flagellates, no amoeba. All right, so then I look away from the microscope and I just kind of move it by what I see down here, as opposed to I'm not creeping along, stopping when I find something. Okay, it's a randomization that is kind of important to get a good statistical piece here. So another view here, again, possibly a little chunk of fungus here. This I don't think is. This is some other organic matter. Nothing there. Nothing really to see there except bacteria. Let's go to number 3, field of view number 3. Okay, and in here, definitely got a piece of fungus here. Don't really see any others. And I'm going to cycle through the focal planes here to look for anything else. Nothing there. Let's go to field of view number 4. All right. And in this one, got a nice piece of fungus right here. Probably another chunk right there. So let's take a look at this little piece of organic matter. Sometimes you can see fungal. You actually can't see it. Let me move up a little bit. It'll come into focus. You see this is a piece of, whoa, didn't mean to do that. This is a piece of actinobacteria. I would call that actinobacteria. Very small, about 1 micrometer in diameter. Looks like another piece possibly here. All right, but I don't see any fungus down in the organic matter. So we got one more field of view, and that one is very boring. Okay, so that gives you an example of one, what we call swimming lane. I just went across the slide, 5 different stopping points, 5 different fields of view. I would do that another 4 times, another 3 times at least, to give me 20 fields of view. If I didn't really like the statistical analysis of the data, like it's just way too variable, I might do another 5. I might do another 10. Might go up to, I've done as many as 30 to try to get my standard deviation, or usually in the case of fungi, my standard error down to a reasonable amount. But what I want to highlight here, let's just go back to kind of the middle, and we can just kind of putz around here for a minute. Um, we see some fungus here, and that's always great to see that. Um, but what I want to point out about this product, okay, now we thought we saw one testate amoeba. So what I'm going to do is just actually look for protozoa. So instead of kind of a randomized thing here, I'm just going to poke around looking for a flagellate. A flagellate is an organism that has usually one or two tails, and you can sometimes see it moving its tail. It has a bumbling motion, they call it. A testate amoeba, we kind of saw what I think was amoeba. It didn't quite have the test that I'm used to seeing, the shell, but it looks very similar to that, what I generally see. So we're looking for either of those. And again, it's good. I keep finding pieces of fungus. There's actually quite a bit in here. Oh, there's a nematode. And maybe that's a different one. We get a nice view of this guy because he's not moving. So, um, yeah, definitely a bacterial feeder, small nematode, but great to see that. Okay, moving on. Little pieces of organic matter, but very thin, very thinly placed, not a whole lot. I'm looking right in the middle. This guy, let's see if you can see that. This guy right here. I'm kind of thinking flagellate, but he's not really moving. That's about the size that a nice flagellate would be, but it's just sitting still. So at this point, I wouldn't count it because I can't be sure. And I don't count anything that I can't be sure on. All right, let's take a little look here. Again, I'm just kind of putzing around. That's just some organic matter. Piece of fungus again. I like the fungal count in here, honestly, I really do. We're seeing almost a piece of fungus in every field of view, almost every field of view, except this one. Um, and maybe there's one right there, dark little strip right here. Okay. Um, Scanning. Okay, that's probably enough. I've probably been through, gosh, 15 different fields of view, and I did some looking before I kicked off the video. Um, here's the fact you need to understand now about Miracle-Gro organic potting mix. There's no protozoa in here. In 15 fields of view, maybe 20, we've seen one. That's not enough. Now the nematode count is good. I actually saw two before I put the video on. I actually saw two. So that's good. That's running about 280 nematodes per gram of soil. So I like that. But we're missing the entire protozoa piece of organisms, which means that the nutrient cycling in this potting mix is going to be largely non-existent. Now, the nematodes will cycle. They're bacterial feeders. Both were bacterial feeders, so they're going to be eating bacteria, and their waste product will include ammonia and other nutrients. But protozoa, flagellates, testate amoeba are huge bacterial consumers, and they create a lot of nutrients in their waste, and that entire organism group is missing. So with that in mind, this is what you need to know about Miracle-Gro. It's not going to be a miracle. Okay, is your stuff going to grow in here? Yeah, and I'm going to do a trial to see what happens here with some growing some cowpeas. But it's it'll kick off with some good fungus. That'll be helpful, but it's going to take a while. This is key. It's going to take a while to get the nutrient cycling going. And so when you plant, let's say you start a plant in some mix, and then you pot it up in this potting mix. I would predict that that plant isn't going to just take off. It's going to sit there for a little bit. How long, I don't really know. My experience is growing on this as well, but I would suspect it's just going to sit there a little bit because it's just not going to get the volume of nutrients it needs. It's going to get sick and die. No, probably not. You keep it watered. Um, but that's probably what you can expect from this. So keep that in mind when you buy a bag of this. You are not buying premium. You're not buying a premium product. You're buying a really bulk created product. And when I say bulk, I mean it's just bulk. There's just stuff in it. There's peat in it. There's some fungus in it. Yeah, there's a few nematodes in it, but it's not a miracle product, and it's certainly not going to miracly, is that a word? It's not going to miraculously grow your plants. Um, the best thing to do with this would be to use it as bulk because it's cheap, and then get some really premium inoculation grade compost and mix a little bit in with that, and then water your plant with a premium inoculant drench about 3 or 4 times over the first month. And that's what will make a difference. You're going to bring in a lot more nematodes. You're going to bring in a lot more fungi. You're going to bring in billions of protozoa, and it's really going to make things work. So that's my assessment of Miracle Grow organic potting mix. I hope that was helpful, and we'll catch you next time.